Hi, this is Matt at Vespa Portland, and today we're going to show you how to install a rack and a K-Max top case on a Buddy scooter. When you get a Buddy scooter, originally they just come with this handrail, which is good for, moving the bike around when you're taking it on or off the stand. Not really good for mounting anything to it, so the rack makes it a lot more useful for being able to put extra storage on the scooter. To install the rack, you're just going to need a 12mm socket, a deep one, the 13mm socket, shorter one, the ratchet, of course, to go with those, 5mm hex key, and a Phillips head screwdriver. So the racks are available in either black or chrome, and you just kind of open this up, and there is going to be a little packet somewhere in here with all of the hardware that you will need to install the rack onto the scooter. To install the rack, first you will have to remove the handrail. So you want to open your seat so you have better access to the handrail. You can take the screw out of the back of this plate back here. You just need the Phillips head. Just unscrew it. It's a little tricky to do this because it kind of locks in. So you might need to just push on a little bit, pop this whole thing off. And now you will need your 12mm socket. And there's going to be a 12 under here. And this comes off pretty easily. And then you have a 12 on each side of the rail. Once everything is undone, just pops right off and everything is ready to go. The hardware kit you will find in there, and there's going to be a couple of the screws, and you want to put these lock washers on the screws. And then you have the hardware that is for the back post, and this hardware is for the two sides. First thing you want to do, there's a little rubber gasket. Put that down first. Then you have a spacer, which goes there. You have a washer. And now you can actually put the rack on there, and you have another washer and the acorn nut that goes on top. Just kind of get it on there and hand tighten it. Now you have these two larger washers. These are going to go under each of the side posts. Now you'll get these through on each side and line them up with the existing ones. And just kind of tighten it down. Not too tight on one side or the other at first, just to kind of get them to seat correctly. And now that they're all seated, you can tighten them all down. Don't have to over torque them, just get them enough to where the lock washer compresses to where it's going to lock it in and not come off. And then you will need the 13mm socket on the ratchet just to tighten the acorn nut in the back. And again, not too tight. You're going to sandwich out the little rubber gasket underneath it. So just enough to seat it and make it to where it is stable. All right, now that you have the rack installed and it's ready to go, you can use bungee cords on there. You can put a milk crate on there. Or if you want to go a step further, you can get the K-Max top case that is color coordinated with the Buddy too. All right, you got your K-Max case on the outside right here, gloss white, so it'll match the scooter. And when you open the box, you want to keep an eye out because the keys are actually in a slot on the box. Don't throw the box away when you take this out because the keys are attached to the box. So you pull the box out, unwrap the box at this time. And now you'll take the keys and you will open it to get the mounting hardware that is needed in order to mount this to the bike. There are instructions in there as well. So it shows you how to do all of this. Then you have the mounting plate and the mounting hardware. Plus you have like a pad to go inside of there. And this is the inside of the Buddy case if you haven't seen one before. All right, now you have the mounting plate and the hardware. And you will take it, open it up on the back. And the hardware is in here in a small bag. Cut this open. When you get in here, there will be 4 sets of the hardware. There is the screw. There is the bracket, there's a washer, and there is a lock nut. All right, so when you are doing this, you want to get this positioned onto a place that's not too close up to the rail, because otherwise the case will not have enough room to mount onto the pad. So you'll want to be able to have it a little bit away, mostly to where you have about this much distance between the rails, between the posts of this and the back of the pad. And this is since this is a universal one, it will have many different arrays for different racks of different scooters, whether it's another Buddy Kick or Rough House or even like a Vespa or some other brand. So it'll take, might take a little bit of, looking to see what'll work the best on a Buddy rack. Right here, these two holes are pretty much the most ideal to line up with the best access, because from those positions, the bracket will sit against the two rails here and keep it the right distance away from the back rail. The tricky part is here. To get this started, you'll have to hold this, and maybe holding down the screw while getting the washer and the lock nut at least started underneath. It will stop at a point because it has the nylon inside of there that will lock it in. So it's not going to be able to be threaded all the way on by hand, but at least just get it started there. Just kind of getting this one on this side of it, getting it to where it's going to sit across the two rails, so it has a good connection and has good positioning for the whole rack. You will also need to get a 10mm socket along with a screwdriver to finish all of the mounting of this. So with it in place, you'll want to hold down. It can be tricky. Might get a friend to help you out with it, hold down different parts of it. And either using the ratchet or just using the screwdriver on top to tighten it down, because you will need a little bit to get through that nylon insert that is on the lock nut. And I'm not going to tighten all the way down because I want to be able to still move it around for positioning if it needs to be positioned in a better way to be more aligned directly with the scooter and not off to a side, not too far front or back. So now we have these two mounts positioned pretty well, and then we're going to go up to here for these last two. And this time we're not going to go over double rails, we're just going over a single part of the rail. First, just getting them all aligned on here so we get all of our hardware already set up and ready to go. Now we're going to get the socket and the screwdriver on again. And going to start tightening these down. It's going to go a little further because it is bringing it closer to the mounting pad, as opposed to the other one that was kind of bridging two different rails that didn't have as far to go. You might want to go to a bigger screwdriver on this one than you use for removing the little plate on the original rail, because these screws have a little bit bigger of a pattern on them. And again, we are just getting these mostly tight, but not 100% until everything is positioned exactly where we want it to all be. At this point, all of the screws are on here. It's moving a little bit, so we haven't tightened it down, but we got it right to where the right angles for everything should be. Maybe move it a little bit over this way because you want to look at it and get it like aligned properly. And now can actually tighten it down all the way. So don't want to over tighten it because it might start making the pad bend a little bit if you over tighten it. But just enough to where everything is stable and not moving around. You want to go through all four of them, and you might get underneath to check. Make sure that everything looks like it's actually tightened all the way down. Mounting pad is all tight, all positioned, and no, it's not moving around at all. Now it's ready to put the top case on. These cases, you just have to note that they have these two slots here that'll lock into here. You always want to make sure that you go and get them lined up on both sides, and you'll see that there's just enough clearance against the rail, so if you install this too close, this won't have enough room to go. Now when you get to the end of it, you push down and you're going to hear a click. That sound means that the case is locked onto the mounting pad and is now ready to use. You push in on the key to open it up. So you can just push, pops it open. You have your little strap there for holding stuff down, and close it up. And when you lock this, you now can't open that and you can't hit the button to release it. But say you have a top case full of groceries and you don't want to have to take out the bag and walk around with that. All you have to do is when you unlock it, you parked, unlocked, ready to go, you push the red button, releases it, pops right off, has a nice carrying handle so you can just walk around with it. But then you're ready to go back out again in the world, and you snap it back in and lock it, and it is good to go. And that's about it for installing a rack and a K-Max top case on a Buddy scooter. Just increase your storage, stays with the color of the bike, or you can go to a different color. You can get whatever color is available. Some people want to go, different options on that and not have to match. There is actually a lighting kit available as well that'll make the reflectors light up. Have installed a few of those in our time. Just an extra feature on it. Otherwise, they are reflectors to make you more visible out on the road, which we all should be. And that's about it. This is Matt at Vespa Portland, and hope you have a good day scooting around.